Hey guys, here's another sales and trades video for March 29th and 30th, Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, we only had one sale. We had a GameCube console and game, and we had a couple of trade-ins. We had a lady that traded in a Wii, and we also had a repeat customer who has recently bought PS2 and PS3 and a couple other consoles from us. And I guess he's decided to move on to the PlayStation family and move away from the Nintendo because he traded in his N64 in a couple games and his GameCube in a couple games. And he also traded in a PSP, which is good because we don't get those in very often. Yesterday, we sold an N64 and a Super Nintendo and a couple games, and also just a couple other random games to some other people. We did have a customer yesterday just to kind of talk about our guarantee, our return policy. We had a customer who bought a Genesis from us last week, and there was a problem with the AV cable. You just had to hold it in the right spot. So we must have had it in the right spot when we were doing our testing, because everything worked fine for us. When he went and set it up in his house, there was a little glitch and the video and audio would kind of cut in and out. And so we went back on Friday, we replaced the whole system and the AV cable, just kind of traded everything out. And he hooked it up again and plugged in his controller, and the AB buttons weren't working. But he said he kind of plugged it in and out a couple of times, and then it would work, and then it would kind of go out. And so kind of just think it was probably one of the solder points on the pin, because the AB buttons on a Genesis console, it's the same pin on the controller port that handles both those buttons. And so we must have just had it jammed in the right way when we were testing, again, because we didn't have any problems. We didn't see any problems with it. But he obviously had problems. So we traded out again with a third Sega Genesis. So this time when I went in, I just said, hey, I'm going to sit around and wait for you. Why don't you go ahead and hook it up? Let's just make sure everything's good. And so everything was good and working. So that's kind of our policy, where we give people 7 days to make sure that everything's working for them at home. They hook it up, everything's great. And if there are any problems, then we can definitely trade things out or give them a refund or exchange it for something else. We do that no problem. We're willing to come back. A couple times we've gone into people's homes because they've had problems setting up the system themselves, and so we've helped them set things up, figure out the right ports to plug the AV cables in. Sometimes you get those people that aren't really tech savvy, people that buy a Wii, for example, that just want to do some exercise. They're not really gamers. They don't really know about AV connections, and so they plug it into the wrong ports, and they complain about it just being black and white because they were using composite inputs on component jacks on the TV, for example. And so we've had stuff like that, and we're happy to come in and hook it up for people and help them set up their system if they need help with that, and that's no problem. But yeah, anytime there's any issues, you guys can always let us know, and we're happy to make it right and try to give you the best experience you can. And so that's one of those opportunities. This is, went back for a third time to try to make sure everything was set up for him, and finally got it set up, and he's good to go. So that's about all we had going on this week. Hope you guys are doing good and you're enjoying your own retro gaming, and we'll check you next time. Thanks.